Hello there, John here. In this video I thought we could take a look at the basics of edge. Edge is just the tilt of our boat from side to side to push one corner or edge of our boat into the water, lifting the opposite edge out of the water. We control our edge by moving to one side of the boat, or by pressing on one side with our bum and knees, or when we really need to push down hard we can lean right over to force the edge into the water. Now, not all tilting of our boat is using an edge. We often shuffle over to our paddling side to tilt the boat, but that's about moving closer to where we want to use our paddle and pushing the side of the boat out of the way to make it easier to reach the water. Also, particularly in larger, wider boats, tilting the boat over can lift the bow and stern out of the water, reducing the length of the boat in the water, making it easier to turn. But none of that is really using the edge. We tend to call that heeling the boat, and what I really want to look at in this video is using our edges to control the stability of our boat. Anytime a boat has water hitting it from the side, it's at risk of tipping. The flow of water is pushing the canoe below the waterline, pushing the boat out from under us. As we begin to tip, things get worse and worse. The boat moves and we end up pushing our flow side edge further down into the flow, increasing the amount of water pushing the boat, and it's not long before we end up swimming. All we need to do to prevent that is to push down the edge away from the flow. That gives the water somewhere to go, with the more streamlined shape allowing the water to flow under the boat. And it really is that simple. Edge away from the flow hitting the boat. But while it's simple, it's also important. Away from the flow can keep you upright everywhere from sheltered water through to far more complex environments. On flat water, wide arcing turns don't pose much of a risk of tipping, but in quicker, sharper turns, our boat still wants to go straight ahead, so water builds up on the outside of the turn. The risk of tipping to the outside is quite high, so we edge to the inside. It's just like on a bicycle, we lean into the turn. There's something important there. We're edging on still water. It's not about where the water is flowing relative to the shore. It's about the flow of water hitting the boat. Here, the water is flowing this way, but we're moving downriver at a similar speed, so that flow isn't affecting us. We're heading for that eddy of still water over there, and while the water in the eddy isn't moving relative to the shore, it's coming towards us quite quickly, so we edge for what the water is doing relative to us and our boat. Moving out of the still water of an eddy into the flow, we need to edge pretty hard downstream to prevent all that strong flow pushing the boat out from under us. The stronger the flow, the more of the side of our canoe we show to it, the more we need to edge. If we're just showing a narrow angle of the side of our boat to the flow, less of that flow is hitting us, so we don't need so much edge. So leaving an eddy to cross the flow, the amount of water hitting our side isn't as much. We still need to edge away from the flow to prevent a wobble, but we don't need to be quite so extreme. Having said that, I've swum a lot of times from not applying enough edge, but I can't think of a time I've swum from applying too much of the correct edge. I'm not saying you can't go too far, but if in doubt, edge more than you think. Okay, let's go back to this diagram and add a rock. If we hit a rock sideways and leave our upstream edge in the flow, not only does our boat tip, but it's going to pin onto the rock, and that's all kinds of bad. The boat will fill with water and could wrap, and if we're still in it, we could get trapped there. The best thing to do is avoid the rock altogether, but if we do hit a rock side on, edge towards it to keep the upstream edge out of the flow and to allow water to flow under the boat. Put a hand onto the rock if you can, and push around it. That's what's happening here. There's no way downriver from where I am, so a quick stroke gets me to the rock. I put a hand out onto the rock and push the boat round onto a better line. Avoid the rock if you can. If you can't, lean hard towards it and push round. Let's finish off with stoppers. I've landed myself here. There are a few things going on. That fluffy white water to the right of the boat is a column of rising water we call a stopper. With the main force of the flow coming in from the left and all that water pushing up on the right, There are no prizes for guessing the outcome. Stoppers aren't all bad though. Here's John, not this John, a more competent one, having fun side surfing a stopper by pushing down hard on the edge away from the flow coming in from the right of the screen. So in stoppers, lean into the fluffy white rising water away from the main flow. And that's edge. We've looked at what it is, how we apply it, threw in a couple of little boat tilting tricks for free. And most importantly, we looked at how we use edge to stop ourselves getting flipped. If you only take one thing away from this, edge away from the flow. But away from the flow isn't just about edge. In the next video, along with a load of other stuff, we'll look at how away from the flow is a more universal truth of boat control. So for now, thanks for watching. I hope it's been helpful. Keep your boat the right way up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.